Well, we have a great guest in just a moment. We're going to be talking to the attorney representing two street preachers who were ticketed and have been harassed by the Fort Worth Police Department in violation of their freedom of speech, their First Amendment rights. Not only this year at the Trinity Pride Festival in Fort Worth, but the previous year from the same officer. We're going to get the real story from civil rights attorney C.J. Grisham in about 4 or 5 minutes from right now. If you're not familiar with it, and I'm going to be playing the videos and I just got from attorney C.J. Grisham, I just got the other video from this Officer Stogner, this woman who seems to be some kind of a, activist with a badge and a gun who doesn't want people to protest against a pride festival. She really needs to be looked into. So we're going to get the full story in just a few minutes as we take their attorney, the two street preachers' attorneys. They won a settlement against the city of Fort Worth already. So this is going to be quite interesting, and I can't wait to talk to him in just a minute. First thing I want to do is tell you that this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Also, coming up, we have some great stuff on the World Cup. I've got some touching things from Lindsey Graham. We went into a little bit of depth yesterday on that, but there's more that I want to get into with Lindsey, particularly some of the highlights of some of the funniest things that he's done publicly. There's some new stuff coming out. Also, a transgender guy who is, he left America because obviously under Trump, we're so repressive and oppressive to trans people. He fled to a European country, and he just got surrounded by a bunch of Muslims that were dumped in this town he's in, and now he wants to flee back to the United States, the best country in the freaking world. It kind of dovetails with the gay folks that were on that gay cruise that tried to stop in Muslim nations and were turned away by Egypt, turned away by Turkey. Well, because that's how Muslim nations do it, and that's how most Muslims feel, except the ones who become radical leftists to take advantage of the radical leftist activists. And then when they're finished taking over, then they will go after the gay people like they do in Muslim countries, most unfortunately. All right, so all Muslim countries. But let's go without further ado. Attorney C.J. Grisham, constitutional attorney, First Amendment, Second Amendment attorney, joining Croc Talk with Chris Croc. C.J., first of all, thanks for joining the show today. Don't have your audio, sir. You got your audio on? Let's make sure your audio is good to go.
There we go. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Hey, welcome to the show, man. That's first of all.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So what the heck is going on here? Because we have these videos, and I'm going to play them, and you gave me a new one from last year. We have a pattern, it appears, of Fort Worth police officers in the city of Fort Worth at the Trinity Pride Festival. And is this, by the way, is this the only time your clients have had issues, that street preachers that you represent?
In Texas, yes, they've had issues also in Florida. There's another attorney that's handling a case down there in Florida where they were preaching to some Muslims out in a public place and got charged with harassment or something like that.
Wow. It seems like a basic fundamental First Amendment violation. And I'm going to ask some questions and kind of give some impressions that I've had of some of the video before we get into it. And I'm sure you saw last night, for the first time that I'm aware of, the chief of police in Fort Worth, Eddie Garcia, actually was interviewed by WFAA TV Channel 8. I'm going to read the quotations from him. I don't find that what he said is enough at all. Before we even get into that, do you?
I mean, I do appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I do appreciate it, but I don't think it fixes the problem.
Yeah, neither do I. Let's start with some of the videos we're going to play. Here is this woman, and Officer Stogner. And let me make sure I get her full name here. It is, actually, you know her full name. Where is it? There it is. Fort Worth police officer Sarah Stogner. She seems to be some kind of a LGBTQ activist. Before I even play this, are you even aware if she's some kind of a activist or something in her private life?
That's a good question. That's something that I am looking into. I have those same suspicions that this is somebody who seems to be at each of these events for a reason. And I don't know what her personal life is like, but I do have some people looking into it, and we will
Good.
find that out.
Good. Let's go to the first video that just came out recently. Not the one from a year ago or so. And you already have like a consent agreement or a consent decree, or you won a judgment in this case already in this kind of a thing, and it's unbelievable. This is still happening and going on. Let's go to the Sarah Stogner harassing your clients, street preachers, at the Trinity Pride Festival this year.
If someone is offended by your talking, then we have a problem.
That is a constitutional violation of our rights. If you shut us down,
No, if they are offended by your speech, okay, then I'll write you the ticket and then we'll go from there.
Wait, you're going to take us for offensive speech?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you serious?
speech. You're going to cite us for
Yes, it's
offensive
called disorderly
speech.
conduct.
That's
Oh,
no.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we're going to go more into this, but offensive speech. What in God's name are they talking about, Attorney C.J. Grisham? Is there any such thing as offensive speech? I mean, go ahead and tell me that, because I want to get into also, like, are the 7 dirty words considered something that you could get cited for? Talk to me.
So legally, there's no such thing as offensive speech being a criminal offense in the state of Texas. If there was, I would have deemed this officer's speech offensive and had her charged as well, but that isn't the case. But no, there is no such thing in Texas that, oh, if someone's offended, it's disorderly conduct. It doesn't.
I mean, that's insane.
Definitions are.
That's clearly insane, because that would who would decide what's offensive? Obviously, on its face, that's ridiculous and a joke. But this woman's saying, as a Fort Worth police officer, with her authority, with her gun and her badge, that offensive speech can be ticketed. But can I ask you this? In Texas, if you are, and these are street preachers, they're not swearing. If you're yelling at kids, "F you, F this," and saying vile things, is that something that could be ticketed?
So it really, and I hate to give you this answer, it really depends because the disorderly conduct statute, it's very broadly written, but the courts have made it very narrowly applied.
Hmm.
And so what it applies to, the only way they can target you for disorderly conduct is if the speech by its mere utterance tends to incite a breach of the peace,
Mm.
or consists of fighting words. So depending on how you said it to children or in the manner in which you said it to children, it could or could not be considered disorderly conduct, and really against anybody. For example, if you get in someone's face
Yeah.
and you're cussing at their face and all that,
Right.
that could be considered fighting words.
Right. Or like dropping an N-bomb in somebody's face that's black or something like that. Maybe. Those are things that might be in the area. Okay. Gotcha. Let's go back to this. I'll rewind it just a little bit with this police officer militantly trying to take away the rights of your clients at a gay pride festival.
Speech. You're going to cite us for
Yes, it's
offensive
called disorderly
speech.
conduct.
That's
Oh,
no.
Yes, it is.
Disorderly conduct has to be accompanied by conduct.
This is the conduct
I'm
that
a
you're
retired
doing.
police officer myself.
For who?
26 years federal law enforcement.
So it's federal. So this has nothing to do with local.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with.
All right, let's stop on that. You're chuckling at this. This woman's an idiot. I mean, she's an idiot. She's a mental midget, isn't she?
I could not believe when she said, "Oh, that's federal. You don't know anything about state and local." If anyone knows about the First Amendment, it's most
First,
likely a
federal.
federal law enforcement person.
It's unbelievable. It's unfreaking believable.
Yeah.
This woman. The First Amendment is something that is it's a constitutional law. It's not it's a federal thing. It's not local or state. So what? I mean, it's insane.
It's absolutely insane. And even under our state constitution, so she wants to say it's not state or local. Well, okay, go look at our state constitution. We have an even tighter and highly protected right to free speech, even under our state constitution. And so I found the whole thing laughable that, first of all, she just dismissed the First Amendment and his federal experience, and then say this is a state and local ordinance and or crime, and yet we still have a state constitution.
Is she not aware of the supremacy clause as well on the First Amendment and Second Amendment? Right.
Exactly. And the other thing, here's kind of the weird problem is that the disorderly conduct statute says that if you intend or knowingly use, and it lists a few things: abusive, indecent, profane, or vulgar language in a public place.
Okay.
And that's where they stop reading. But it also says, comma, and by the language and the language by its very utterance tends to incite an immediate breach of the peace. They're forgetting that part, but they're
She's
also
gonna
forgetting the
say
part that
you're preaching anti-gay stuff which is biblical. You're preaching anti-gay stuff. You're going to incite violence and breach the peace. What do you say, counsel? You're representing these street preachers in Fort Worth.
well, I mean, that's not a speech. Speech just because it's disagreeable doesn't mean. I mean, the courts have really narrowed what that really means.
Yeah,
It's a normal, reasonable person standard. It's not the standard of 27 million different Texans and what each one individually
right.
believes is offensive.
Broad. Okay, let's go to the rest of this video of this Fort Worth police officer harassing and threatening to ticket these two street preachers that you represent at the Gay Pride Trinity Pride Festival.
Yeah.
Well, I
Do
look at
whatever you all think that you can do.
whatever, it says 80
whatever we
decibels.
think- wow.
It says 80
Since
decibels.
y'all know the law so well, I'm not gonna let y'all do whatever
So
you
I just
do.
want to clarify. If anything is said that's offensive, you're going to write a ticket?
If someone complains that your language or what you're saying is offensive,
Hey.
That's what's insane. So how many gay people at the Pride Festival will say anybody saying anything that's biblical and therefore widely viewed as, constitutionally protected free speech, anybody that says anything that could offend, perhaps hundreds or thousands of gay people that are at a festival must be removed and must be charged and ticketed. This is insane, isn't it?
It's absolutely insane. And I guarantee you, if it were a giant Christian festival and the
Yes.
anti-Christ people wanted to come in, they would probably not be feeling, hey, these guys have a right to come in here and speak. So this is all very one-sided, and unfortunately, it's been happening. And my problem isn't that, it's just this one bad officer. There were like 5 or 6 officers present um, that actually took place in surrounding my clients, and then a couple of other officers who were also nearby, at least monitoring it. And no one even thought to say, hey, whoa, Stogner, you're wrong. Back off, slow your roll. In fact, they just continued to harass the other way around, harass my clients until they were able to manufacture something to cite them for.
Do you think this was just a gay pride thing? I mean, are you seeing other violations of free speech other than the gay pride stuff? I mean, is Fort Worth police seemingly protecting gay people from being offended? Is that what you're seeing?
I am seeing that. That's probably the biggest. There are 2 big elements that I see, or avenues in which people are being charged under crimes that involve protected speech, and that is speech that's directed at or against the LMNOP alphabet agenda
Yeah.
and those against the Islamic agenda. So
Yes.
those 2 types of speech are the main speeches that are getting suppressed and oppressed in the state of Texas, and it really boggles my mind.
Have you seen a local? And I don't want to dovetail. I don't want to go too far off on this whole Fort Worth police harassing and ticketing your clients and violating their right to freedom of speech. But are there local cases with that you've seen with people speaking out against Muslim folks righteously being gone after?
Oh, absolutely. Up in Denton and Collin County, there's some cases up there that are trickling up. There's one down in Houston, and there's also one down near Corpus Christi as well.
I'm going to be having you back and keeping you on speed dial for stuff because I do a lot of stuff with that locally here. So I look forward to being able to have you on again on this. Okay, let's go back. So these are your clients, the street preachers, and let me go now to another video. This is Officer Stogner, the female who you guys are looking into to see if she is some kind of a leftist or pro-gay activist of some kind in her free time, and that might be why she's so rabidly biased. This is from last year, this video you just sent me before the show, right?
This is from the last year's Pride Parade, and it's
Wow.
different.
Okay.
It's not the same client. It's different preachers.
So, okay, it's different preachers. So this is different preachers from last year. Is this, by the way, before we play this, is this the one that you got the consent decree and you won a judgment against the city of Fort Worth on last year?
No, my clients did. They have a separate one where they won a decree on it. I wasn't their attorney at that time,
Okay.
but they did. They got a $1 judgment and then a promise it'll never happen again. And here we are again 1 year later.
And it was the same kind of a thing, though, this previous judgment.
Correct.
And it was from last year?
It was just from last year, to my knowledge.
Oh, my gosh. It was a federal judge in Fort Worth, in the district that Fort Worth is in?
Correct.
Wow. All right.
And
This is Officer. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Whatever's public.
Say it again.
Yeah, and I can look it up. I can send you any of the public documents. I was not on that case at the time.
Right.
I handled mostly Second Amendment cases until last year. It's when I started broadening out a little bit, going into more First Amendment, because there were so many of those violations.
Let me go next to Officer Stockner, the same one, and see from last year what she did to people protesting at the Gay Pride Festival.
Why is that?
Because it's a permitted event.
Okay.
So therefore, they're paying to be here.
Okay.
So you just can't cross any barrier.
But it's open to the public.
They made a permit to be here. You're here to contest that.
Well, we're here to just represent Christ. So if it's a free event open to the public, then we're allowed to go into it unless they said there's a cause of problems. We haven't even entered the event. You're already telling us that we can't go inside there?
Because they're going to protest against what's going on.
So we're proclaiming Christ.
I'm telling you that you can protest and do whatever you need to do, but you can't cross this barrier, sir.
Okay, so it's against the law?
Yes, it is.
All right. Can we talk to a supervisor for that?
Absolutely, you can.
All right. So we haven't even stepped foot into this Fort Worth. We haven't even stepped into this event yet, and this officer is telling us that we can't go into a free public event that's open to everyone. That's what it says online.
I'm at Main and Broadway, East Broadway.
Now, this is where I cannot wait to ask you some questions. I cannot wait to ask you this. Okay. I'm thinking about some other examples. Now, if there is the Muslims that were trying to have a public event for Eid al-Fitr, remember they were trying to have this water park at a publicly owned water park, and it was not a private event, it was a public event. And what these fools, these twits, whether they did it intentionally so they could be a victim or because they're so stupid, what they did was they invited the entire public writ large, come to this event. But it's open to the public, but if you're Muslim. So you cannot invite the public writ large and then uninvite people that are of a certain religion, in this case, a certain sexuality. Is that why, in the same vein, is that why your clients had a right to go inside of the perimeter and exercise their freedom of speech because it was a public event? Like, I could have gone to it. I don't support the gay movement and all that stuff at all. I mean, it's my biblical held views. But is that why? I mean, I could go there and not fight and just participate, and they wouldn't know I don't agree with them. Is that why this is constitutionally unconstitutional?
Absolutely. Anything that's open to the public, and it's especially when it has to do with public property, like roads, sidewalks, parks, and things like that. That is a much more even heightened level. But I can make this even easier for people to understand. For example, take like any department store, Walmart, Target, whatever.
Yeah.
These are businesses that are open to the public. It's still private property, but it's open to the public. Even Walmart, Target, and these other places, Home Depot, whatever, because they're open to the public, they can't say, hey, we're open to the public, except you, Mr. Christian, except you, Mr. Muslim, except you, gay woman, except you, straight man. They just can't do that. You cannot discriminate based on certain criteria, one of those being religion. And that's exactly what they're doing here, just in a public space. So it's even worse because you're not even on private property. And the only way to get around that is
go ahead. Yeah,
you can be like for example, Costco or Sam's, because they're a membership type of place. They are open to the public if you have a membership, and they can decide what that membership is supposed to be. Those are the only kind of carve outs.
Now, I want to compare it to something else, because I've talked about this in my podcast as this issue has exploded locally. I also have two more videos, one of another officer seemingly totally discriminating against people's freedom of speech at the Gay Pride Festival, the Trinity Pride Festival in Fort Worth, and then a supervisor seemingly doing the same thing. But I want to also, when we come back in just a second, I want to hit on this. I did a massive rally when I was a talk show host in Atlanta. And it was when they were trying to do that mass amnesty thing with George Bush at the time, before he left office and former President Hussein Obama took over. They're trying to do mass amnesty. I had a massive rally with like 400 listeners that showed up live on the air. And the cops, we got a permit. We worked with the city, whatever it was supposed to be. And then across the street were these illegals or pro-illegal people. and they weren't allowed to come into our section. So I want to talk about the differentiation between that and what's going on in this Fort Worth festival. Can you stand by for a quick timeout, a real quick timeout? Thank you very much. C.J. Grisham, the attorney, First Amendment and Second Amendment attorney, who is representing two street preachers whose rights have been violated, nakedly violated, First Amendment in Fort Worth at the Pride Festival. We continue with him in just one sec. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. That's IRSPROB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Randy Martin has been my CPA for like 10 years now. Look at it. There we are, hanging out in Randy's office. George and Ray are on the left, Randy on the right with me. Randy, those guys are all still working together because they're the best. There's Randy speaking at UT Austin, his alma mater. If you want an amazing accountant, if you have IRS problems, maybe you lost somebody, had a death in the family with tax issues, maybe your business has some tax issues, maybe you do personally, or you just want a good tax planner, Randy Martin's my guy. Last year was my first year going full small business owner, no longer with my former radio station, and Randy kicked major, major butt. My taxes are insanely awesome. Thank you, Randy Martin. Second of all, my roof was just installed. Literally, I'm going to show you the before and after. Here is my friend John Hopkins, the owner of Blue Ribbon Roofing, on my roof with me before it was just replaced.
Anything about it? I got to depend on you.
I think you wanted that. I guess I'll do the show then.
Yeah, you do the show, and I'll do the roofing. See that
So
white
there's
line?
hold on,
See that white
hold on. Let me go right to where I'm going to show. That's my roof. Well, here's my roof now. Afterwards, look at this gorgeous, gorgeous new roof. They got more work they're going to be doing around the house. I'm going to show you before and after on that. Look at this. Look at how beautiful my brand new roof is. They put it up in one freaking day. It was unbelievable. The people that did the work are incredible. And here's when they were ripping off things off my roof. Look at this. You got to see this. Here's my roof ripped off. They put new decking on, everything. Here's the shingles, Class 4 shingles. You want to get your Class 4 shingles, go to Blue Ribbon Roofing, blueribbondfw.com, blueribbondfw.com. Those Class 4 shingles are saving me a ton of money on my insurance. I just got the totals, and I have to share them with you. I am going to save $613 per year from my policy, 11%. Also, because I got my new roof put on, I will save $2,159. My overall tax bill is going to go from my insurance for my home from $5,500 to $3,200. That is what Blue Ribbon Roofing can do for you. They are the best. Over 25,000 roofs done in DFW. Now 25,001. Here's John Hopkins, his wife Tish, Trevor, and his wife Jenna. It's a family business. They win Best of McKinney year after year after year. They're all over the Metroplex. Go to blueribbondfw.com. Let's go back to C.J. Grisham, First Amendment, Second Amendment attorney. CJ, you now have a new roofer to use, and you now have a new tax planning guy to work with, okay? We'll leave it at that. And by the way, amen. And by the way, everybody tell the folks at IRSprob.com and at Blue Ribbon Roofing that Chris Kroc sent you. I'll get to say about my plumber in a few more minutes, but first, and foundation guy. But first, let's go back to this. So, C.J. Grisham, you are representing the two street preachers in Fort Worth who were ticketed once again. Their First Amendment rights were totally and nakedly violated by being told you can't preach at a public event like a gay pride festival. And so what's the difference? I had a permit, or at least from what I would recall, you know, I always, when I do these kinds of things, I reach out to the police department and work with them. I had a permit. We did a rally with 400 listeners that showed up. I was live on the air. Across the street, we were in the shadow of former Senator Johnny Isakson's office when I was at this massive station in Atlanta. And it was for the amnesty for George Bush that he was trying to do. I was protesting it. Illegals and their supporters were across the street that showed up to protest us. One of these illegals, some young Spitfire lady, beautiful woman, she came to the middle of our thing, young lady. She came in the middle of our thing and was screaming and yelling at people. The cops threw her right out because she was literally, you know, I mean, you're going to incite some violence here with this crap. Maybe you don't know. She was being nasty. So tell me the difference between that and your street preachers who are your clients who are now, again, taking action against Fort Worth Police Department. What's the difference there?
So in your case, it was likely not an event where I imagine that was the entire public invited, hey, come see Chris Kroc, or did you invite certain friends, family?
Actually, it was a public event. I mean, we invited everybody to show up to protest it, but we had a permit and it was to protest that. So she was not supporting our movement. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have to throw her out, but they obviously feared danger with, perhaps violence so they sent her across the street. So what do you think? What's the difference there?
Well, the difference there is if you are engaged in a conduct that actually prohibits or prevents a person or a group, even in a public place, from being able to exercise their First Amendment rights, then you've now violated the law, because now you're interfering and being disorderly. It's a breach of the peace, because people are peacefully protesting, and you are interfering with their ability to peacefully protest, because
Wow.
you've got horns, you've got.
Okay, so the reason why is they were impinging upon my First Amendment by getting in the middle of it and trying to stop ours and take over the show.
Right.
So
Yes.
your guys,
and that's if you interfere with their ability with the, like, for example, if the street preachers, if there were like 50 or 100 of them, or even just one that had such a reach that it affected the entire place,
yeah.
Then also they would have been able to get removed, or at least not use maybe the amplification or whatever.
So your street preachers that you're representing against Fort Worth for violating their civil rights, your street preachers weren't going to be screaming and yelling, weren't going to be stopping action among the thing. They were going to be preaching somewhat peaceably in an area that might affect people surrounding them by 20, 30 feet or something like that, and not the entire festival. That's the difference.
Correct. And yeah, some people might be annoyed by it, but again, just like being offended, being annoyed is not
You don't have a right
a
to not be
standard,
offended.
because
Right.
some people are very easily annoyed, and others are not. For example, it's notoriously impossible to annoy me. I laugh at you, and
I can
move
do
on.
it. I can annoy you. Trust me. Ask my wife. I can annoy the hell out of you if I want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that's the standard. If you use your First Amendment right to affect or infringe upon someone else's First Amendment right, then you no longer have that First Amendment right. Your rights end where mine begin.
Okay.
And that's the whole point of when it becomes legal versus illegal, or when they can tell you, hey, go step across the street, because and they do that to us as well. When I go to an Antifa rally, everything's fine until Antifa gets all riled up, and then
Right.
it's becoming a breach of the peace. I still haven't done anything illegal, but because there's a breach of the peace there, and those people are unhinged,
Then
they
they
want to
can, yeah.
protect the public at large and then
Okay.
separate us.
That's it. Now, before I get into, there's two more videos that I want to break down of your clients' rights being violated at this year's Trinity Pride Festival in Fort Worth. But before we do that, I also have Harmeet Dillon. I'm sure very pleased to see that the assistant. I want to make sure I get her title right here. She is here we go, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Yeah, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights Division, Harmeet Dillon, who I'm a big fan of. We follow each other on Twitter. She said that she released a letter today, and I know you've read it through and through. You could probably read it backwards in Hebrew or in Arabic. You've read it so clearly and back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm going to read just a few little highlights from it because I think it's important, and then I want you to tell me what your reaction to this is. Oh, hold on. Here it is right here. She writes, I write to you to seek information. She wrote this letter to Fort Worth today, right? No, yesterday. I write to you, Fort Worth Police, seeking information to help us determine whether to initiate a full investigation of the City of Fort Worth Police Department. Thank God. It says 14 U.S.C. Section 12601, and I'll definitely hear your thoughts on that. Publicly posted video recordings reportedly show Fort Worth officers instructing individuals to cease their speech or to move the location of the speech itself on the content of the speaker's expression. This would raise significant concerns under the First Amendment to the United States Constitution and federal civil rights law. Like, hello, you stupid bleeps. What are you doing to these people? Four things she's demanding. 5. I'm just going to read a couple of the highlights. Fort Worth Police current First Amendment policies, training materials, administrative accountability records for any incident since 2015 in which a citizen lodged a complaint alleging Fort Worth Police restricted, interfered with, retaliated against, or otherwise acted adversely toward the individual constitutionally. All records of enforcement proceedings in the Grisham consent decree, and another thing. So tell me about this letter. How good is it? How important is it? And what's going to happen if you were to guess with Fort Worth Police Department? I mean, this seems like a massive violation of our rights then, does it not? And what is your reaction to this letter?
I'm incredibly it always feels good when you've got the federal government kind of having your back on a
Hmm.
case. A lot of times when I'm taking these First and Second Amendment cases, it feels like it's us against the world, us against everybody else
Hmm.
because the government has all these resources. And so when you get a bigger government to come in and go, no, 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 we got your back, and we're going to use all of our resources to get to the bottom of it. I definitely welcome it. I think I couldn't be happier with Harmeet coming in on this case because obviously it's going to save my clients a lot of time and money. It's going to save me a lot of time and money that they're going to dig up all this stuff that we would have to otherwise hire specialists to do. And really, I think it shows that this isn't just crazy, wacky CJ or the. It's funny. I'm not related to David Grisham. We have the same
I
last
know your
name. I
client
don't
is
think
David
we're
Grisham and
related.
another street preacher
Yeah,
named Richard Pinkowski, and I'm like, is that his brother? He is not related to you, C.J.
yeah.
Grisham, attorney representing Mr. Grisham and Mr. Pinkowski. That's remarkable. Yeah.
Yeah, just the Grisham name. We're just troublemakers. That's all
Yes,
it
you
is.
are. Yes, you are. Now, what do you expect to happen as a result of this? What do you? Let me ask you this instead. What do you expect to happen? But also, what do you expect the U.S. Department of Justice Office for Civil Rights to find?
Well, I think what they are going to find is that a lot of the law enforcement in Tarrant County specifically has been doing this for quite some time unchecked, which it really surprises me because a lot of the Fifth Circuit case law on freedom of speech
Hmm.
tends to come out of Tarrant County,
Wow.
and yet we're still having those problems. I've got a case right now out of actually against Tarrant County itself and the county judge. It's in the Fifth Circuit right now for silencing people during public comments. If the county judge doesn't like what somebody has to say, he
Oh.
just shuts them up and tells them to go sit down. And so I've got a case in front of the Fifth Circuit, and I actually today got a judgment on another case for a bishop who was told to sit down when he just complained about the fact that the county judge had criticized some people in the audience for clapping. And all he said was, as he's walking up to the podium when it was his turn to talk, I can't believe, and this is a veteran, a Marine Corps veteran, I can't believe I live in a country where you can't clap. And the judge like, that's it, you're done, sit down. And so we sued. They tried to get it dismissed, and we won that motion to dismiss today. So it's interesting that Tarrant County just seems to have these problems. I think what they're going to uncover is that this is not just a one-off. It's systemic. It's it's in the mindset down there, and it really needs to be changed. And I think only the federal government's going to be able to do that because I can only do so much as a First Amendment attorney, and most people can't afford to file lawsuits over
Yeah.
these seemingly minor issues. I mean, the First
This is
Amendment
crazy.
violation, it's not a minor thing, but people tend to just ignore it. If okay, I wasn't thrown in jail, I wasn't put in handcuffs, I wasn't given a ticket, but yet your rights are violated. And
What
so that's going to be good to see.
what ticket in the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals is conservative? They're out of Louisiana. They cover Louisiana, Texas, and which other state do they cover?
Mississippi.
That's right. Now, what exactly? Before we play these last two video clips, what exactly were your clients ticketed with when they were protesting or attempting to protest the Trinity Gay Pride Parade in Fort Worth?
So they actually got ticketed with a violation of their noise ordinance for using their bullhorn. But the bullhorn is the statute and the ordinance is very clear. First of all, there is a sound decibel level, which
Yes.
is actually in violation of state law preemption because state has
Wow.
created an 85 decibel rule, and therefore the city can't lower that, and they did to 80.
Wow.
So on its face, the ordinance itself is unconstitutional or
Wow.
unlawful, and not unconstitutional, unlawful. And but then they're in a public place. They're not in a neighborhood. They're not in a residence. Um, they're not doing anything that violates even the noise code as it would apply to their behavior.
Did their
So
bullhorn even reach
what
80
happened?
decibels? Or does their bullhorn even reach
No,
85?
no. I mean, you might be able to with a siren, possibly,
Yeah.
Well, you've got to have a pretty big bullhorn. They didn't have one of those big, giant, massive bullhorns. It was a small
What
bullhorn.
What do you think? I mean, just give us an example. I know you're not an audiologist, but what would you say? Can you give me an example of what would be like a 85 decibel if you're guessing? Again, I know you're not an expert, but what would you guess? Like a jet
Probably
plane? Or
an
what?
outdoor, yeah, like an outdoor concert.
Okay.
And maybe you're, just outside the venue. Um,
Okay.
go to Sixth Street, maybe Sixth
Yeah.
Street, maybe on a Friday night. You might
Okay.
get up to 85 decibels somewhere around there.
Okay. All right, let's go to these other two videos of the Fort Worth police officers nakedly violating your client's rights to freedom of speech at the Fort Worth Gay Pride Festival, Trinity Pride Festival.
But no, I want to, and I'm being dead serious. So if a biological male comes up to me who says he's a woman, and I call him, I say, sir, and he gets offended, is that a citable offense? If I call a biological male a male, and he says I'm offended, I'm gonna whatever. Is that a citable offense if he's offended by that speech?
Man, we're talking gray area right now. When I talked about earlier when it says that's a vague conversation, vague.
Gray area. Is there any gray area here?
I just can't believe what I'm hearing. That should have been an immediate, no, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, the fact that you can criminalize misgendering somebody, we've become the UK now.
Yes. By the way, I think this particular officer, I think he means well. I think he is not. I think that officer Stogner, however you pronounce her, I think she is nefarious. I think she has ulterior motives. I think she has a problem with people that don't support the gay lifestyle. Fort Worth officer Sarah Stogner, 2 years in a row, violating civil rights of people protesting the Gay Pride Festival. I don't think this guy is. I think he's just. He's innocent as far as he doesn't mean to do anything bad. He just doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Would you agree based on what you saw in this video? I'm not saying he's right. I'm saying he's wrong, but I don't think he has nefarious purposes.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's nefarious or even malicious. I just think it's
Right.
ignorance. And
Right. Right.
if you're ignorant about something, you shouldn't be enforcing it. Just period.
That's
If you
exactly.
don't know, then yeah.
Call a supervisor. Call the sergeant on duty. I can tell you this. I'm from multi-generational law enforcement. I know what my multi-generational people in my life who are still alive, 2 different generations of cops in Chicagoland, I know exactly what they would say. Get the hell out of here. Leave them alone. What's going on? You know what I mean? Whether they're constitutional law experts or not, they would be like, get out of here. Leave them alone.
Charge.
I'm genuinely curious.
Sure, I don't believe I would cite that for offensive language. Offensive language to me is calling somebody
N-word.
N-word, curse words.
We don't curse, we're preachers.
Sure, no, I agree. But it's more like you call somebody a male. I don't necessarily find that offensive unless they come up.
You don't, but what if they do?
That's what I'm saying. If they come up and say, "Hey, I'm offended by that," and you continue to do that, well, then that's just becoming offensive to them.
And here's the catch. Here's the catch.
So it's the, "Hey, warning, I'm feeling offended by that." Then we're moving into the potential.
But so what if I'm offended by what they say? Like they come up telling me this and then the other, swearing at me. Will they get cited?
Are you offended by it?
I'm offended by all of this.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I'm offended by seeing half-naked men run around with children. I am deeply offended by that.
Correct. Unfortunately, there's not much on our side to do anything.
Okay, wow. Now that's he doesn't have an agenda. Clearly, he just doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But wow, we are protecting one agenda here. It is not yours; it's the other people's agenda. That's just crazy. And I love how brilliant they are with simple discussing. Well, I'm offended. So what about me?
And I think the reaction there is kind of what I really have a problem with, that he's so quick to say, well, it's a gray area. But then when you go into and you flip the script, suddenly it's
Right.
not a gray area. Suddenly
Right.
he doesn't seem to be as conflicted. Suddenly it's a problem. And
Right.
that's what I have a problem with. And again, I don't necessarily know that it's maliciousness or not. I truly think that this is bad training. It's also a lack of training.
Uh-huh.
And it's just an officer. I don't know how long that particular officer's been on the force or not. I know Stogner's been a 20-year plus cop. She
Okay,
should have known better.
Stogner, this woman, and I'm going to go back to showing folks because holy crap. Hold on, let me put her up again for those. This woman, hold on one sec. Boom, boom. I'm hitting too many buttons over here on mine. Here we go.
If someone is offended,
This lady right here, Stogner, this woman's been on the Fort Worth Police Department for 20 freaking years.
Well, she's been a peace officer for 20 years. I don't know if she's been in Fort Worth the whole time, but according to her TCOL record, she's been a peace officer for at least 20 years.
Okay, I mean that's crazy, is what that is. that she's been a cop for 20 years and she's telling people they can't say certain things or do certain things because it's offensive to her. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. That tells me even more this woman's got some kind of a serious hardcore LGBTQ agenda, if I had to guess. And again, you're investigating that right now to see if she has biases based on perhaps what she does in her personal life. Is that accurate?
That's accurate. And I also think, really, with the other officers, again, I don't necessarily think that they're malicious. I think they have what's called confirmation bias. I
Mm-hmm.
think the initial officers that were dealing with these preachers took a particular stance, and these other officers just kind of backed up that officer
Right.
rather than thinking clearly, coherently, and rationally and independently. It was that confirmation bias that, oh, this isn't something I'm too well versed on. But this officer who's been in for 20 years is saying this is wrong, so it must be. And, he said some right things there. 'Cause he said, well, I wouldn't personally cite for that.
Right.
But then he goes into, and what I would have done, and I'm a 21-year retired federal officer as well.
What did you serve in? What did you serve in? And what did one of your two clients that were cited and gone after that were violated their free speech? Where did you serve, if I may ask, out of sheer curiosity? My father was a Chicago police officer and then went into federal law enforcement. With the Department of Energy, he went as a he ended up in counterintelligence, which is pretty awesome. Worked with the CIA and stuff.
Exactly
on some
what I
things.
did.
Really? Are you kidding me? Under what department? The Department of Energy?
The Department of Defense.
Okay, DOD. Wow, that's cool. And I mean, this is a little sidebar, but were you based out of here, or were you based out of when you were in DOD?
All over the place. I retired out of Fort Hood, but I'm from Temple anyway. I am a native Texan.
Okay.
But I've done stints from coast to coast. Been to South America, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait.
That's great.
Kyrgyzstan. So I started out doing counter narcotics, and then I moved into counterterrorism after
That's
USS
awesome.
Cole bombing in 2000.
That's incredible. I have so much, even more respect for you. And then how about your client? Two of your clients whose rights were violated in Fort Worth were being street preachers protesting the gay pride stuff. Richard Pankowski and David Grisham. One of them, David Grisham, no relation, as you said. One of them served as a federal officer. What did he serve as? Just curious.
And I will tell you, I haven't asked for his permission to disclose that.
Oh,
I
that's
will
fine.
say
Don't worry about it.
He was federal law enforcement. I just
Okay.
can't. I
That's
don't know
fine.
that
No
I've
worries.
got permission to divulge where.
I have one more video to play of a supervisor who steps in, and this might be the most egregious one based on your opinion. I look forward to that. CJ Grisham, can you stand by for one more quick break?
Yes.
Okay. CJ Grisham, constitutional law attorney, First Amendment, Second Amendment, representing the two street preachers whose rights were violated in their First Amendment right to protest the Pride Festival in Fort Worth just recently. But first, I'm wearing my Due West shirt. Due West Foundation and Plumbing. Due West has been around for 3 generations now. Jim's dad, Jim Dutton, my friend, the host of Texas Home Improvement on radio and television in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and Austin. Jim's been, he took over the business for his dad. Now his sons are Adam and Johan. They are also working. They've been working with Due West Foundation and Plumbing probably 15 years. I don't know. Jim, Adam, Johan have all been to this house. They've done all the work. They've done all the estimates and everything. They are the best. And a couple of things. My wife even worked for Due West Foundation and Plumbing for 3 years. So I didn't buy this house till Jim did the plumbing inspection. They did the static test. I didn't buy this house till they did the inspection and testing of the foundation. They do all their gadgets and everything. And because of them, I have not had to do any foundation work on this house. It was on the bubble. They gave me a plan. They did root shields. So they cut all the roots that were under my house to kill them from sucking the moisture. And they've done all my plumbing. They did 17 feet under my concrete slab. They replaced. When you dig all that dirt out, you have to do foundation work because otherwise you can't put that dirt back in the same way it was. They did, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. When you move the dirt around, it'll come to me in a second. But anyways, they also do concrete leveling, plumbing, foundation. You don't ever want a plumber that doesn't do foundation or vice versa because they will blame each other. Grading. They graded around my house to keep that water away. That was the word I was looking for. So if you want the best, and they did my water heater, they did my plumbing when I do renovations on my kitchens and bathrooms. So if you want the best, call Due West. Go to du-west.com. That's du-west.com, or call 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912. If you want the best, call Due West, du-west.com. Tell them Chris Croc sent you. Jim Dutton is a personal friend and a great guy. Okay, here we go. We're going right back to C.J. Grisham, our guest today, who is a constitutional attorney, if you will, First Amendment, Second Amendment attorney, among other things. He is representing both preachers Richard Pankowski and David Grisham, no relation, whose rights were violated. They were ticketed and prevented from exercising their freedom of speech at a Fort Worth Gay Pride Festival. CJ, thanks for standing by with us. Here is the video of this guy who is a supervisor. Do you want to tell us who this officer is? If you know who he is, he's like a sergeant or something, or what?
Not exactly. I haven't gotten all the names yet. I've got requests for information in there. I'm waiting for all the police reports and all that. I haven't been able to identify all of the officers yet.
All right, I'm going to play this, and we'll get your take on this on the flip side.
Hello, officer. My name is David Grisham, and in Grisham versus Fort Worth, 2014-15 was settled out of court with the city of Fort Worth. We settled on this exact dispute, and the settlement was that I could preach anywhere on a public street that's free and open to the public in downtown Fort Worth. That's on Grisham versus Fort Worth.
But you're not in downtown.
This is downtown.
Okay, that's insane. So you only have freedom of speech if you're in downtown? What the hell is this?
Yeah, I mean, and if you look, he's not even paying attention. You can tell he came out there with a preconceived notion. He's not out there even interested in listening to what David has to say. He's just waiting for David to stop so he can interject and essentially just, again, confirmation bias instead of just doing the right thing. His whole purpose was, we've made our decision, we're sticking to it no matter how wrong it is.
Let's get to, we'll play a little bit more here, and then I want to ask you, I'm going to read Fort Worth Police Chief Eddie Garcia's first interview about this last night on WFA TV Channel 8. Let's continue on with this supervisor.
This is a closed event to whoever they decide they don't want anybody in here because they have permits. So if you want to preach, you will have to be outside the barricades.
Okay, this is a closed event. Is it a closed event? It's public, isn't it?
It was not a closed event. It was an open event. Everyone in the public was invited. He's just wrong. And the chief, you'll cover his statement. I mean, the chief even admitted they were wrong. That was just a false statement.
It's unbelievable. I mean, that's unbelievable. Flat out insane. Like you said, he already made his decision before nothing they could have said would change his mind. Let's continue on.
So, like, if you want to stand right there and preach, stand right there and preach.
So, if we preach inside, what will happen?
You'll be asked to leave.
And if we don't leave, what will happen?
You'll be arrested for criminal trespass.
We'll be arrested
on the street here?
On a public street, for being on a public side.
When somebody has a permit, yes. Okay. They're authorized to let whoever they want in and kick out whoever they want.
Right.
Tell us about that. Go.
It's I really don't even know where to go. It seemed like every word coming out of that I could counter very easily. Again, they can't decide who they want to let in and let out, especially if it's based on certain criteria. I mean, would the officer say, "Hey, this is a white-only event. We don't want any black people in here"? I highly doubt that he would allow
That's a great point.
Event to do that exact same thing, and that's exactly what this officer was doing. And the fact that he's going to arrest him for criminal trespassing in public.
That's like me getting arrested for walking down the street here. I mean, it's just that's insane. When you say it that way, C.J. Grisham, attorney representing these two preachers, when you say that way, to say whites only, and he's going to enforce that, I mean, would any of these people, any of these cops, do you think, I mean, you can't speak for them, but do you think any of these cops would enforce something that said whites only?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But they will say,
I guarantee if there were any,
they will say no Christians.
I'll just say absolutely not. Yeah.
Wow. That's insane. What were you going to say? I apologize. I cut you off.
I would think, even if there were some kind of argument, I guarantee you they would not take the side of the white guy who's saying this is a white only event. So.
Right. Let's continue on with this, and then we're going to hit what Chief Eddie Garcia said about all this.
Exactly the same argument they made in 2014-15, in which a federal judge ruled against and said that we were allowed to preach on any public sidewalk as long as it's free and open to public, which is in compliance with Supreme Court ruling that says if it's free and open to public, you can't discriminate based on religion.
The public. It's a permitted site.
It is permitted,
so it's not free and open.
It's not closed off, and they're not charging you.
Barricades is closed
This
off.
is to keep the Muslim terrorists out.
It's a barricade.
We know that. I mean, come on. We know this to keep the Muslim terrorists from driving through here, and I agree with that.
You and I are laughing here. Everybody's laughing. He's literally saying your free speech is only on the other side of this barricade. Right?
And Chris, that just listening to that, it just jogged my memory
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I have to correct something I said earlier. The decree is from 2014. He just reminded me of that.
Okay.
Not last year. So it wasn't that event last year. It was 2014. I conflated that. I wanted to correct the record on that.
And
But
they still,
the barricades are out there so that people can walk in the street. It's not to keep anybody out. It's not to make it a closed event. It's because the streets were open for people to walk in, and the permit was to close the streets. A permit doesn't mean it's a closed event.
wow.
The
So
only way
that
it can be
cars
a
won't
closed
drive in
event
there.
is if they had tickets.
Yeah. Oh, say it again. Say it. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize. But basically, you're saying it's closed to vehicles. That's why the barricades are up, not for freedom of speech barricades. Go ahead.
Correct. Yeah, and it's open to the public. The only way that it would have been a quote unquote closed event is if you could only get in with a ticket, and then you would have a closed event.
I see. That's interesting too. Yeah, because then it's tickets only. I see. Okay, let's play the rest of this, and then we'll get to Chief Garcia's first interview on Channel 8 last night.
That's a great thing. No, we're doing a great job with that.
So if you want to preach, you can preach outside the barricades.
So if we preach inside the barricades on this public street right here that's free and open to the public, we're going to be arrested for trespassing.
It's not a public street, it's permitted. You understand that?
I
It's
understand
permitted.
that.
So
But they don't own the street. It's still public.
They own it because it's permitted.
Okay.
City of Fort Worth says these are your streets tonight.
So
That's insane, isn't it? Tell me why.
Well, think about this. We just had the greatest celebration in the history of mankind, the
Yes.
250th anniversary of this
Yes.
wonderful nation.
Yes.
And in almost every city, there was a parade. Those parades, the event organizers or the cities, whoever's doing it, they have permits in order to close off and use those streets. But everybody is invited. It's still a public event. You can come out and watch the parade. This is just a convoluted. I don't want to say things that'll get you in trouble. It's just
No,
a
whoa.
convoluted.
Nothing will get me
version.
in trouble. Nothing will get me in trouble. That's why I don't work at my former employer, where everything I did got me in trouble for no reason. Go ahead.
Okay, this is nothing more than a perverted version of a July 4th celebration. So it's the same kind of celebration. It's the same kind of open to the public. It's just instead of celebrating the greatness of our country, it's to celebrate perversion. That's the whole difference between the Pride Festival and the 4th of July. They're both open to the public. It's just they're celebrating different things.
And both have a right to do their expression of whatever it is, whether we agree or not. But you cannot stop us from disagreeing with you and protesting lawfully. Let's finish this off.
Including the public sidewalk and this public street here.
Yes.
Okay.
Barricade. Yes.
Okay.
okay. So if we preach in here, we're going to be arrested for trespassing if we don't play.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. That's all we need.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it looks like he might be a sergeant. There's 3 stripes on him. So that's just unbelievable. Let's go to
here's the
go. Yeah.
Here's the legal reality of that. Now, and I don't want to make you time. The legal reality of that's what's called prior restraint. So the fact that he didn't get arrested doesn't mean that he doesn't have a claim. That is a prior restraint on his speech. He was prevented from speaking, and if he continued, then there would have been bad acts. So the fact that he was threatened with arrest legally and constitutionally is no different than actually being arrested. It's just called prior restraint.
That's insane. I mean, this is a fundamental. This is an insanely deep rot of bias and tremendous lack of knowledge on enforcement of people's rights, and it's very scary when it comes at the end of a barrel of a gun and a badge and some cuffs. This is crazy.
I always tell when I talk with my fellow officers, the good cops out there, I always remind them that the reason we have that shield is because we're here to protect the constitutional rights of the citizenry. We're here to protect the people. We're not here to abuse them. That shield is not a sword; it's a shield to protect them.
That's
And
right.
I always try to make that very clear.
That's a great point. Attorney C.J. Grisham defending representing, I should say, the two street preachers in Fort Worth. Let's go now to the first comments from Fort Worth Police Chief Eddie Garcia and what he said. This is according to WFAA TV Channel 8. They interviewed Chief Eddie Garcia. Here we go. Quote, here's what he said. The biggest issue that I have is just the conversations and the way they were describing what is lawful, what is not. And by the way, you stop me anytime, CJ, you want on this to comment. The video shows veteran Fort Worth officer Sarah Stogner violating their civil rights, obviously. That's my words, not theirs. When we were right, we're right, said Eddie Garcia, and when we're wrong, we're wrong. There certainly was a better way to have that communication. We were wrong in the manner which we communicated that. Now, hold on a second. He's not admitting they were wrong. He just says the way they communicated it was wrong. That shows me that he doesn't understand what just happened, right or wrong?
That's my concern. Once again, we're trying to minimize the damage done here, and that's what that statement did.
That's literally the chief of police, who I have pretty good respect for this particular guy. Not as good as my friend and retired former police chief, but close. Okay, here we go. Let's get into this. Civil rights attorney C.J. Grisham, they say, issued his client a citation. Quote, they have already violated their rights, you said. It doesn't meet the noise violation ordinance in any way whatsoever. Just on its face, the charge is baseless, you told WFAA TV Channel 8. You also say that Stogner, the female officer, engaged in similar conduct during last year's Pride Festival, and you believe the incident reflects a broader problem within the department. Channel 8, WFAA TV Channel 8 has requested, and this is great, they've requested information related to Stogner's employment history and any previous investigations. What do you know about those possibilities with her?
That's going to be interesting. I look forward to being able to actually depose Officer Stogner and find out exactly what was going through her mind. I don't know that we'll get to the deposition stage in this case because we do have the police chief, and I'll agree with you. I think overall, I think the police chief did the right thing here. He's minimizing the potential damage for any likely civil rights case that's going to be forthcoming. Obviously, we've got to get rid of the citation first. I'm more upset at the city attorney's office that I'm still waiting to get this citation dismissed. And
what's going on with that? What is going on with the Fort Worth City Attorney's Office? Tell me.
Oh, they're not talking to me. I've left messages. I've sent emails. I've sent my letter of representation. I have not heard word one from them. And so I'm actually on vacation right now visiting my grandkids. But
I'm sorry.
As soon as I get back home, I'm just going to have to go and stand on their desk apparently because emails and phone calls aren't working.
That's insane. I'm sorry for interrupting your vacation, by the way, sir. Okay, so we have, quote, here's another thing that you said, quote, we have her on video during last year at the Pride Festival, which I played earlier. So this is a pattern of abuse by Officer Stogner, but it's not just her. Look at how many other officers were standing around. So let me ask you this. I want your final comments, but I also want to ask you what C.J. Grisham, attorney representing the two street preachers whose rights were violated at the Fort Worth Pride Festival the other day. What do you want to see happen here when you're looking at a pattern, multi-year, of one officer harassing and stopping people's freedom of speech because it's gay pride, perhaps only? When you see so many officers insanely, including supervisors, violating your client's rights openly, what do you want to see happen? And do you think just getting like $1 out of this and a judgment in your favor is right, or do you think there should be financial penalty? Because sometimes the only thing that makes people awaken is financial penalty.
This is the part that I struggle with as an attorney, is the way that the justice system works. So I'm going to preface it by saying my clients have already tried doing the right thing and minimizing damages on the taxpayers. When in 2014 they agreed to a $1 judgment and this promise that, hey, you guys are free, you guys are free to preach anywhere on a public street. And so they tried to do it the right way. They tried to do it in a way, hopefully taking it at face value that they were going to be able to do their thing. The police are going to leave them alone and let them do their thing. Obviously that didn't work. Here we are again. 2 years in a row. Only this time it's finally making some headway. And I don't even know if it's been happening before that. We don't know. It probably
Right.
has. And I'm sure that as these stories get out there, people will probably start contacting me and saying, "Hey, this happened to me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
Wow.
whatever it was." So the unpopular, and look, I'm a libertarian. I truly love protecting taxpayer money. But the way our justice system works, the only way that he's going to get justice, unfortunately,
Right.
is through a monetary payment. And that's the only kind of punishment that we have at our disposal. We can't sue to have someone fired. We can't sue to force them into training. We can't sue to get an apology. We can't do that. Those aren't legal remedies. The only legal remedy we have are declarations. So, for the courts to declare, yes, what they did is unconstitutional. Injunctive relief, don't do that again. And punitive damages, this is going to make sure you don't do it again, and you're going to pay for the violation.
Right.
So,
And
what I expect to happen is all three of those things.
Okay, so they're going to have to pay because and this is and I know you're quote unquote biased because you're representing these people, but to me this is a naked outright violation of the First Amendment of your clients, and they got a judgment previously in 2014. You said so. I mean this is I think the word I would look for egregious. This is an egregious. Continual, sustained violation of civil rights of people in the city of frickin' Fort Worth, isn't it?
It is, and I'll tell you, Chris, I'm one of those weird ethical attorneys. I know that's an oxymoron, but I'm one of those real ethical attorneys. If you come to me and you say, "Hey, I've got this free speech, this First Amendment violation," I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to tell you honestly, if it wasn't a violation of the First Amendment, I do not take those cases. I am not in this for the money.
Right.
I am in this for the Constitution. And otherwise, I mean, I'm taking cases where I get $5,000 judgments. That's not making me a lot of money.
No.
But it's definitely protecting the First Amendment.
CJ Grisham, I'm grateful. I really am grateful that we had time to talk today and have you on the show. And I'm grateful that we are connected because I look forward to having you on for this story as it continues to develop and other issues. And you've got my information, my contacts. So I look forward to you. Reach out to me. We'll continue to cover this. I will continue to cover this very, very closely and raise awareness and help in any way I can for this fight. This is crazy. Thank you very much for representing these people. Thank you for your service to this country, and thank you for what you're doing now. CJ Grisham, attorney, First Amendment, Second Amendment expertise. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and thanks for bringing attention to this story.
Absolutely. There he goes. That was really, I got to tell you, I'm freaking blown away. I had no clue how bad it was. It's worse than I even thought. I got no idea until we talked to him. This is worse than I ever thought. Absolutely insane what the Fort Worth police have done to his clients and to all of us. Because when you violate their rights, you violate all of our rights. Wild. All right, real quickly, I got to go for my wife's birthday. We're going to go have a dinner for out and about at her favorite place, at her favorite local restaurant for her birthday party. We had a big one on Saturday, but we have a small one tonight because it's the actual day. Lindsey Graham. Here's a few highlights from Lindsey Graham when he was alive and kicking butt and taking names with a lot of fun. Let's go to that. Just want to play a little bit for you. Here we go.
People in the Mideast want the same thing you want. They've got the same technology you do, now that I have because Trump gave out my number.
I just asked you where you're at on Christmas.
Like all Jews, I was probably at a Chinese restaurant.
White privilege, patriarchy.
Yeah, please move.
This is my favorite one. This woman screaming at him. White privilege, patriarchy. By the way, this is where this picture comes from I showed you yesterday. See that? This crazy, awful, affluent white liberal woman screaming at him. Look at him. He's adjusting his tie and smiling and having fun. Let's go to the actual video of it.
White privilege, patriarchy.
Yeah, please move to South Carolina.
Out of office.
Good God, look who we're running against. The number one candidate on the other side thought she was flat broke after her and her husband were in the White House for 8 years. The number two guy went to the Soviet Union on his honeymoon, and I don't think he ever came back. If we don't beat these people, who the hell are we going to beat?
Have you had anything to drink yet?
No.
Has anybody in this room, you think, had anything to drink yet?
I hope so, because I do better with people who drink.
Yeah, absolutely.
The more you drink, the more this will make sense to you. You can see where I'm taking the country.
While we mourn this tremendous loss, we also celebrate.
All right, now his sister taking over today, sworn in. There are stupid people that think that this is wrong. You got leftists saying it's here's one woman, quote, if this happened in some other country, we would laugh at their backwardness. Some in Washington would argue they must be bombed. To which Mark Thiessen, Fox News contributor and Washington Post columnist, says, good Lord, you are ignorant. Mel Carnahan, I was in Missouri doing my first talk show when Mel Carnahan died in a plane crash. Mel Carnahan, senator from Missouri, Democrat, died in a plane crash October 2000. His widow, Jean Carnahan, was appointed to his seat. Haley Boggs, Democrat, Louisiana, House Majority Leader, died in a plane crash 1972. His widow, Lindsey Boggs, took his place and served for 20 years. Debbie Dingell, Congresswoman from Michigan, Democrat, husband John Dingell, Congressman, died, and she has taken over his seat to this day. He says, and Mark Thiessen rightfully says, learn something about America. And I will add, you idiot. Second of all, Tommy Tuberville from Alabama, senator, said Lindsey Graham's final phone call, the details saying that Graham contacted his schedule after returning from an overseas trip and said, listen to his scheduler, I'm having chest pains, I need to do something. When asked if he had called 911, Graham said, no, that's the reason I called you. The scheduler immediately contacted emergency services, but by the time she arrived, first responders already forced their way inside and were attempting to save him. Graham basically worked himself to death, said Tuberville, describing him as someone who rarely took time off, was constantly traveling in service of the country. According to Axios, he had also delayed seeking medical attention before scheduled television appearance, saying, I can't die now, I still need to do the Russian sanctions, get Iran sorted out, and do Israeli-Saudi normalizations. So make sure if you have issues, you act on it right away. All right? My wife makes fun of me to this day because when we were in Atlanta like 15 years ago, I thought I had a heart attack, and it wasn't. It was because I had pulled a muscle in my chest from lifting a TV, and I was over-the-top dramatic, and she made fun of me, and that's okay. This column from the Dallas Morning News, we can say it, Dallas World Cup was a huge success. Yes, it was. Last game was today. France beat, Spain? And it was amazing. I had no idea how amazing it would be. It was such a high. My uncle from Chicago and his 3 children and his 5 grandchildren and their spouses, they all came down. I had 13 Crocs in this house, plus my wife and I and my kids. It was an amazing time when they visited. They were at 2 games. They were here all week. And, where else would you see the Londoner pub sell out of $29,000 of beer and shut a bar down by 10, 11 o'clock? They bought out every ounce of beer in that place, and they shut the place down early because it was getting out of control. The most favorite place that people went to is the Happiest Hour, the 6th most frequented destination nationally to watch the World Cup games in Dallas, according to Lyft. 20,000 square feet, over 40 big screens and TVs, more than 50 beers on tap. They have the Big Happy Burger priced at $120, made of a 5-pound beef patty, 1 pound of bacon, 1 pound of cheddar, lettuce, tomato, pickle, jalapenos, and tobacco onions. Wow. And here, this is what happened when trans people say that the U.S. is horrible and they leave. Watch this. This is so perfect. This is what happens. Watch this.
Between here and there is a bunch of Algerians and Moroccans or whoever who think that queer people should be beaten. I think that this system where you have people just living out here that are unhappy is not good.
Yeah. Do you think it's safe here?
No, I don't think it's safe.
Oh, it's scary. It's legitimately scary. I decided that my mental health is degrading so substantially being here that I just need to get out, and the situation that I have in the U.S. as a trans person, not good, right? But here I will be hurt or killed.
Because a bunch of Muslims came there. They dumped like 2,000 illegal Muslims in there. Welcome to the truth. And there you have it. That reminds me of the gay cruise that wasn't allowed to stop in Egypt and Turkey, Muslim countries, because Muslims, well, in countries like that, they execute you, jail you, or beat you if you're gay. We are the best country in the world. Don't ever forget about it. The lie of how people are mistreated is all a lie. This show's been brought to you by IRSprob.com, IRSPRB.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. I'll see you